My favourite characters survived the final book. My last two favourite characters. Hi and welcome to part 2 of my Throne of Glass series. My name is Sam and I'll be talking to you about Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash in this video. If you haven't seen part 1, then definitely go check that out. I'll leave it in the description. Or if you want to go straight into this one, stick around. There's going to be heavy spoilers in this video as well as the previous video. So if you have any interest at all in reading this series, don't watch these videos. But if you read them or you don't care about reading them, stick around. It'll be nice to have you. I think I'm just going to dive straight into my thoughts for the first book in this part of the video, which is going to be Queen of Shadows. So in this one, like Crown of Midnight, a lot of stuff happens. We go from one book with nothing really happening to a book where like everything kicks off, and it's kind of becoming a trend. So Selena and Rowan, who are now a couple. And my first gripe of this series, I hate to start this video on a sour note, but I hate Selena and Rowan. Like, they are cute. They have the best relationship out of like Selena, Dorian, Selena, Kale. She has the best chemistry with Rowan, but Rowan is like a dog. He is constantly talking about Selena like this piece of meat. He's like, oh, my scent is on her. Ooh, she has my scent. It's so sexy. How dare she go near another man? Oh, and it's just so annoying and I hate him so much. Like, he's a good character. I like him as a character individually, but when he's with Selena or he's talking about his love for Selena and her scent, I want to gag. Like, it's disgusting and it's... I don't like it. Can you stop saying the word scent at least, please? But we see Selena and Rowan go back to the capital city to try and take down this magic blocker that the king put up to stop everyone using magic. And their main mission is to take that out. In the capital city, we also have Dorian, who is enslaved and has the collar on from the previous book. And we don't really see much from Dorian for a while. We see him like murder people and he can't really control it because it's the vile demon inside him. But we see Dorian and he does eventually get saved and we get like a Manon and Selena battle, which is pretty cool. And then Selena saves Manon and then Manon has to like repay that, and that's kind of like a step forward for Manon's redemption, which was really nice. But we get Kale and oh my god, I loathe Kale as well. I loved him in Crown of Midnight. He was such a fun character. But in this one, ever since Selena dumped him, he's just moaning about her constantly. And it's like, you knew she was an assassin. You know she murders people. Why all of a sudden now she's dumped you are you moaning about that? It's so annoying. And every time he talked about Selena, I just wanted to punch him in the face. But Kale overall, as a character, he went from like here to down here really fast. I hate him so much. But through Kale, we are actually introduced to this new character called Nesreen. And I really like Nesreen. She was really cool. She didn't really have much to do in this book, but I want to see more of her. On a similar note, we also got introduced to Lysandra, who I think was in The Assassin's Blade. And Selena was like, oh, that's the assassin I don't like. But she's in this book and she's like a cool shapeshifter, and I can't wait to see more of that in the rest of the books. But I really like Lysandra. I think she's going to be my new favourite, but I'm scared to say that because all my favourite characters so far have bit the bullet. Okay, another big thing that I'm just going to jump to. She kills Arabin, the king of assassins from the Assassin's Blade. She kills him, and for the whole section he was in the book, he was very intimidating, and I did like seeing him again. But I wish he'd lasted a bit longer. Like, he dies like that. He's just killed in his sleep by Lysandra, and I feel like that's a really kind of boring way for Arabin to go out. Just killed in his sleep. I honestly thought when we saw Lysandra, she was like sleeping with Arabin, and I thought she was going to go to kill him in his sleep and he was going to like capture her and kill her, because I have no faith in my favourite characters living. I thought that was going to happen, but it was not. The next day she's just like, yeah, I killed him. He's dead now. And I'm like, oh, okay, you set up this really like powerful assassin king and he dies in his sleep. Yeah, great. It seemed I'm seeming very negative about this book. I did like it overall. I gave it 4 stars. But I just wish he'd play a bit more of a role. But I did like what we got from him. He was very intimidating. He was very evil, and I really liked him as a villain. We saw Selena kind of like finally outmaneuver him with like the fake ring and that, and I thought that was really good for her character. And honestly, I think she should have killed him, because we barely have any connection between Lysandra and Arabin at this point in time. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I like Lysandra. I'm glad she got the kill. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I don't think we were introduced to him in this book. I think he was in the last book. But we got Aedion, who is Celaena's long-lost cousin, and he finally starts becoming interesting. We see he was captured in the previous book. So yeah, he was in the previous book. I don't think I mentioned him, but he got captured, and now we got to see like a prison break scene, which is really cool. We didn't know the plan, which was a clever element, because we didn't know when the plan was going right or when it was going wrong. In this prison break, the maids like threw down things, and like smoke came, and Celaena had to rush in and grab him and run, and it was really fun. And I really enjoyed that part. Also in this book we have more Manon, and I did like her a lot more in this book. She was much more interesting in a much more interesting story, because we got introduced to a lead who is the daughter of the woman who sacrificed herself to save Aelin. So now Aelin as in Celaena, and we now have that connection between these two stories, and I thought that was really good because now we have a reason to care. And Manon, okay, I'm gonna have another sapphic ship. I love Manon and a lead. I want them to get together. I doubt it's gonna happen. I just doubt it's gonna happen, but they have such good cute bond, and I just want them to be together. Then also in the storyline we got Catelyn, who I've been dissing this entire series. In part 1 I was dissing her constantly because she was so irrelevant, but she sacrifices herself to save a lead in this book. And I would have cared more if she was an actual character who I actually knew anything about, but I guess not. She sacrifices herself, dies, and that's it. She's gone. She's finally gone. We don't have to care about her. I didn't in the first place, but she's gone. So yeah, we saw Catelyn die, and that's how Elide escapes, and I really think Elide is gonna go ahead and see Celaena now in the Empire Storm. And then we end this book with this giant climactic moment. We have the clock tower, which we figured out was one of the things that was stopping the magic. That is destroyed. We see Celaena and Dorian kill the king, but not really, because he's revealed to be a Val demon king, and he escapes, and they kind of kill the host. Chaol gets paralyzed, which honestly I wish he'd just died, but he's paralyzed. He has his own book coming up. Not looking forward to that. But Chaol gets paralyzed. Dorian becomes the king, and Celaena and him has killed the old king. The glass castle is shattered, which about time, because like health and safety, that place was not safe. So that shatters, and the king escapes, the Val King escapes, but magic is back in the land and everything's happening, and I can't wait to see Empire of Storms with all these magic characters coming out. I'm really interested to see how the city will kind of cope with this giant change. And yeah, it was a really climactic battle at the end. Well, not really a battle, kind of confrontation rather than battle, but it was really fun. I can't wait to see more magic in the world now it's been released. They're my thoughts. I tried to keep them short and sweet because I've got 4 books to talk about in this video. But yeah, I'll see you in Empire of Storms. So I'm back, and I have now read both Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, because I did the tandem read, which is basically where you read both these books together because they both take place at the same time. So you can just read a few chapters from each interchangeably. Obviously you have to finish this one first, because this one spoils Empire of Storms. All of Empire of Storms, this one spoils, so you have to read this one first, or you can do the tandem read, which guides you to read them where you avoid spoilers. So I did the tandem read, but we're going to start off with Empire of Storms, and this one basically brings all the elements of previous books and all the characters from the previous books together, ready for, I'm presuming, what will happen in Kingdom of Ash. And yeah, this one I really liked. I gave it 3.5 because there was some elements, like this is where Sarah J Maas started to write smut, and it really irritated me because it was so bad, but we'll get into that in a minute. So this one, the main goal is to bring everyone together. As I said, we see Elide and Lorcan. Lorcan is a character I have not needed to mention before, but basically he is a blood oath to Maeve, and Celaena tricked him and gave him a fake ward key, and now he's off and not knowing that he has a fake ward key, and he's trying to find them all to destroy them before his master Maeve gets them. And basically he finds Elide in the forest after she's escaped from the previous book, and they have this fun, like, kind of cross-country almost themed thing. They join a caravel, they have the awkward only one bed trope, and it's really cool. I did really enjoy them, and I'm happy to kind of see their dynamic grow, and I'm glad they got the screen time they needed in this book. page time, I guess. But yeah, they were fun, and they eventually caught up Selena and the group. We also see the Pirate King again, which was from the Assassin's Blade, Rolf. I honestly thought he died, but he came back, and we got a whole segment of Dorian and Adian trying to convince him to fight with them, or at least help them in a way. And then Selena comes in and they reunite, and it's so cute, and Dorian's just like this awkward. Dorian is so awkward. Dorian definitely still has feelings for Selena, because whenever Selena and Rowan are interacting, there'll be a line like, Dorian turned away because he couldn't handle it, something like that. I'm holding out hope that he'll end up with her, because Rowan and Selena get worse in this book. I previously mentioned I hated the word scent. This one takes it to a whole new level. We find out that Selena and Rowan were always supposed to be mates, and it was fate's decision that they would end up together. And that just makes it so much worse, because you have two previous books with a love triangle between Selena, Dorian, and Kale, and then you get to the third book, a new character is introduced who is now all of a sudden that was the one that was going to be him along. So what was the point in the love triangle of the previous books? Make it make sense. I don't like Rowan. I like him as an individual character, but him and Selena are disgusting. The smut made it worse. I hated it. I honestly started skimming because I could not be bothered. Similarly, we got Dorian and Manon together, which is really weird, but it's better than Selena, and I did not think I would say that, but Manon and Dorian's relationship is better than Selena and Rowan, who are the main characters. They kind of come together because there's darkness in Dorian after escaping the collar, and the Val demon is still there, so he's kind of drawn to the darkness of Manon, which is interesting, but I hope they're not endgame, because Manon needs to be with the lead. And oh my god, they reunite, Lead and Manon reunite at the end, and it's so cute. So the pirate thing, there's a battle there. We see Lysandra turn into a wyvern, which is really fun. We're also introduced to a new element of like all these different gods, and we learn that the gods and the Val came in together, and we have to get the keys to shut the gods and the Val back into a different dimension. And to do that, the person that closes the gate has to die, which is Selena, and you have to have like the certain bloodline. So it is Selena, but we also learn it could be Dorian. Now I'm kind of torn on who I predict it will be. Like I can see it going both ways. I can see Selena sacrificing herself, and we kind of follow everyone else move on, and Dorian becomes king and everyone's happy, and Selena's sacrifice meant they could all be happy, and she kind of completes this journey of wanting to help people. But I could also see Dorian dying and him kind of becoming a martyr almost. But I don't know. I'm going to put my money on Selena dying. But would Mass do that? Maybe Selena and Rowan will die together. Maybe. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Put my money on Selena. Final word. So basically, Selena also finds out that she's been raised like a pig for slaughter, Harry Potter style, because the queen from the first two books, the dead queen ghost, who is now a god, was raising Selena. She like had a hand in her going to Adian and stuff like that. Not Adian, Arabin, and she's kind of raised Selena as a pig for slaughter almost. That was weird. I got a bit lost, but I guess you do. So once all these kind of characters and elements are brought together, we get a final battle at the end between Maeve, who is trying to stop both the Val King and Selena, because Maeve is like this foul queen. We learn this in Tower of Dawn, and she basically wants to rule the world. And yeah, I guess it adds more to her character. I do honestly prefer Maeve to the Val King at this point, because we've barely seen anything from the Val King for ages, and Maeve is definitely more intriguing and more complex than the Val King ever has been. So we get a big battle with Maeve, and we kind of get like a split. We get all the ships, and there's like a giant battle on the sea, and Lysandra turns into a wyvern, and it's really cool. We see Rowan convince his cousins to fire on Maeve, and he kind of wins their trust again. So I wonder if that'll come into Kingdom Bash again. So half of Maeve's army just turns in on itself. And that while they're all distracted on the battle, we get Selena and Manon are in a magic mirror thing where they learn about all the gods and stuff. We get, and then they come out of the mirror, and then Maeve is capturing the lead, and she gives Selena the choice to come peacefully, or she'll kill Elide and take Selena anyway. So Selena has to go with Maeve, and she becomes like it's very King's Cage from the Red Queen series, where the main character is captured and turned into the prisoner of the main villain, and that happens. So now Selena is Maeve's prisoner. She's locked in an iron coffin, and God knows what they're going to do with her in Kingdom of Ash, but it's not going to be good. And we have all these other characters now gathering an army, because once Selena is gone and Maeve's taken her away, we get like this, I don't know, it reminds me of something, but I don't know what, but all these different armies come, and it's all because of Selena. She set it all up behind the scenes. So once Maeve and Selena are gone, the rest of the characters are on the beach, and then these like 3 different armies come and they're all like, what are you doing here? And they're like, Selena told us to meet you here. And I'm like, oh, she brought an army together for her friends, and she's not here to see it. It's a shame. And then Manon and Dorian are going to go make a witch army. So that was about my main thoughts for Empire Storms. It was brief, but they're my thoughts. I did enjoy this one. On to Tower of Dawn. So then we have Tower of Dawn, which I learned recently was originally a short story, and then Sarah J. Maas kind of expanded it and it became the 700-page novel. And I'm going to say, it probably should have stayed a short story, because oh my god, this book dragged. It was so slow. I honestly, there was times when I didn't think I was going to finish because it was so slow. I didn't really care about anything because it was all Kale, and I just don't like Kale, and I don't get why he got his own 700-page book. He's not interesting. I've already expressed my hate for Kale. He's so annoying, and to be fair, he was kind of okay to begin with, but then like halfway through the book he started moaning about Selena again, and I was like, Kit, have you not got a character of yourself? Can you not just be the sad ex trope, please? Because you're honestly, just get a life. Get a life. So he was okay for the first half, and then he just went downhill again because he started talking about Selena and how much he hated that she killed people even though she was an assassin. Okay. So in this book we see him try and find a healer who it turns out to be Irene. Irene is back. That's one positive about this book. I'm so happy she's back in the world. She was really cool. I love her so much. I'm scared she's gonna die. Last time I loved a character like this, they died. Well, I guess we still have Lysandra. But Lysandra and Irene are my favourites. And if they die in Kingdom of Ash, I'm going to be annoyed. I'm going to be so annoyed. But Irene is back. I knew she was being set up in the Assassin's Blade to be a bigger character, and I'm happy she's back. And she kind of has this fling with Kale now. I guess it's not really a fling, it's a full relationship. They're together. I'm happy, I guess, that Irene's happy. I don't really care about Kale. We also get Nesreen. She kind of gets her own story in this, which I thought was really nice. She gets her own autonomy in the story rather than just being a side character for Kale again, like in Queen of Shadows. And she goes on this journey to find spider silk and stuff like that. I got a bit lost. I didn't really care about the story, but I enjoyed Nesreen. She was fun. This is where we learned that Maeve was a Val, and she kind of is the mistress of all these spiders, and they're all waiting for her return, so we're probably going to get some spider battles in Kingdom of Ash. And yeah, I thought that was a really productive part of this novel. It could have been in Empire Storms, honestly, but Nesreen was fun. I liked her. She was good. Kale, only saved by Irene. And he does eventually get healed from being paralyzed. Partially, there's kind of like this situation where when Irene is full strength, Kale is fine, but if Irene is drained of her magic, because she's magic, Kale will become weak and have to use his wheelchair again. But that's about it for this book. This, overall, should have stayed a short story. Should have been about Nesreen and Irene getting together. They don't have any chemistry. I don't even think they interact. But honestly, I'd have preferred that and Kale just not be in this. Or Kale be a side character. I don't like Kale. Okay, so I'll see you in Kingdom of Ash when I've read that one. So I'm back and I've finished the final book in the Throne of Glass saga, which is named Kingdom of Ash. And this was the biggest one of the series, so it was the one I was most intimidated by. And I definitely felt the length of this while reading it, but we'll get into that when I get into my thoughts. But yeah, I just can't believe I finished the Throne of Glass series now. It is the 1st of August now, but I finished this book on the 31st at like a 11:30 at night, and I'm so happy I got it all done in 1 month. But enough of that, we'll just get into my thoughts. So the overarching theme and kind of plot is defeating the Val King and Maeve, and we kind of start off with Selena after she's been imprisoned by Maeve, and I really like the hopelessness and the kind of tension we got with her. It wasn't just over in a flash. We actually got to sit with the consequences of her choice at the end of the previous book. And I really liked that, and I really liked how she was brought down from this god tier character, because throughout the whole series, I've mentioned this before, but Selena has always been this character who could do anything. She could beat anyone without thinking. She had all this power. We did get a bit of development from Heir of Fire onwards, but it never really felt like she was a relatable character that you could be like, oh, she's worked her way up there. It's always felt like she was just put at this tier. And her being imprisoned and her kind of fighting that kind of brought her down for me. I kind of related to her a bit more. I liked her more. Now she wasn't just this flawless character from the very beginning. And I really enjoyed that part. She eventually escapes and Rowan is there, and I like them reuniting, even though I'm not a fan of their relationship anymore. From the end of the book, I just don't care about them. I'm sorry. But their reunion was cute, and she kind of like this part where she struggles and she's screaming, "Get these collars and like these chains off of me." It was just like so heartbreaking. Then Rowan obviously goes and seeks vengeance for her while they get her out of there. And then on to Manon and Dorian's side, we kind of see Manon as she's trying to reunite all these witch clans into one formidable force that they can use against Erewhon, the Val King. And I'll be honest, I didn't really care that much. It was cool, and I liked seeing her garner that power that she got. And also, Maeve's arc is just chef's kiss. Like, she went from this bloodthirsty, no emotion character that her family had made her into to this more like open, not fully good character, but she's basically close to that. And her arc was just amazing. She is one of the best arced characters in this story. But that whole plotline with the witches, I wasn't really vibing with. I wasn't really invested until Dorian left and he went to get the third ward key. And I really loved Dorian in this book. And we saw him kind of form a relationship almost with Maeve, as they kind of schemed against each other to get this third ward key. And it was a really interesting section of the book, and it was definitely my favourite part of the book, where we have like Dorian telling Maeve that he'll make her his queen if she helps him get the third ward key, and then obviously she's just using Dorian to get power over the country, and she's just gonna be like, oh, he's gonna be my puppet. And I really like that dynamic. I don't know why, it was so funny. And then they kind of like, obviously nothing comes of that, and they fight and they separate, and Dorian gets the third ward key. Good on Dorian. So I really enjoyed that part, and I really enjoyed seeing Dorian's powers develop as he can now shapeshift after brutally murdering one of these spider women that they'd captured with the witches. That was a really dark moment for Dorian, but I loved it. And Dorian coming out of this book is definitely now one of my favourite characters. Throughout the series, he's kind of been like, for me. Like, I liked him, but he wasn't a favourite. But after this, I really liked Dorian. And then Manon and Dorian, skipping to the end, their story is kind of left unresolved. They kind of say maybe to a relationship, but then they split apart. And I really feel like we're being set up for another Dorian and Manon spin-off book, maybe. And we never saw anything from Dorian's brother either, like the little evil Joffrey kind of character called, I think his name is Holland or something like that. We never saw anything from him, so I really feel like there's going to be another series and Holland's going to be like, come back and be the villain, and then Dorian and Manon are going to come together again and they're going to form a relationship and defeat him. Because why include Dorian's evil little brother if he's not going to become like a villain or anything? Bit weird. Also, we get the final closure of the ward gate and with the ward keys, and we've been told that someone's going to die to have to do this, and I put my money on Selena, which is kind of right because she lost all her powers, but we didn't. No one died. Neither of them died. Dorian and Selena decided to do it together, which obviously was the smart thing to do. But like, neither of them die, and it kind of felt like a cop-out because Dorian summoned his ghost dad, and the dad kind of swapped places with Dorian, and basically the ghost died instead of Dorian, and that felt very contrived and like a cop-out to save Dorian. Selena obviously didn't die, she just lost all her fire powers. She got a little bit, the goddess gave her a little extra one when the gods went back, one of them gave her a bit of extra power. But she is now just a fae. She lost all of her human side and her powers, which was good. But it just felt like a cop-out that neither of them died when we kept being told that one of them had to die to close the gate. Dorian goes back to his form and his dad comes and replaces him. His dad evaporates and gives up everything he had. Like, why weren't we just sending ghosts to close the gate in the first place if this was a possibility? Like, couldn't Nehemia just come and take Selena's place? It felt like it was very much cop-out and I didn't like it. I wish they'd just killed Dorian. Even though he was my favourite, I wish they'd either killed Dorian or Selena in that situation, because where's the consequence? Speaking of, no one important in this book died. Like, there were scenes with Adian and Lorcan where they both kind of were in perilous situations, but neither of them died. They just got healed. Same with Abraxos, Manon's dragon. He had his throat ripped out merely and he survived. And no one really died, apart from Manon's 13, which was sad. I did get a little bit sad at them, especially with Astrid. But like, they're not really main characters. We only knew one character out of those 13 witches anyway, so their sacrifice kind of was like, eh. And no one really died. Oh, and Adian's dad died, but I didn't really care about him. Back to Dorian, his dad takes his place, and Selena closes the gate and then kind of falls through Mass's other universes. Like, I've only read Crescent City, so I recognised it when she said, oh, there was a city built around the crescent of a river. So I knew that was Crescent City. And then there was a very obvious Akatar. And I don't know the character. I've watched reviews now that say it was Rysand. So there's like this guy with wings, which is Rysand, I guess. And he's with the pregnant woman. And he kind of like slows her down. He doesn't save her. Like, Selena's literally falling from the sky really fast into the floor. And he's like, oh, I'll slow her down with a bit of wind, but I don't need to go save her. So I'm guessing Rysand isn't that kind of guy. But yeah, that was really interesting. I didn't know that the universes were all connected. I had a feeling that maybe they were because they all had fae. But it was kind of cool to see that connection between them all and see that they are in the same universe. So Selena eventually comes back and to the main universe, obviously, and now the ability to travel different universes in this has now gone. Now the ward keys are back in the lock, so that kind of solves that thing. But then we have to go kill Adian the Valking, and from that part on, once the ward keys were in and sorted, it kind of felt like closure. So the rest of the book kind of dragged for me. Even though we got all these epic Lord of the Rings-esque battle, I just felt very much like it was dragging on. Like, this was this was an 1,000-page book, and it definitely felt it. It did not need to be as long as it was. I'm going to say that now. It did start to drag after the ward keys. But we see Selena go back, and they have kind of like an Infinity War team up as they all scheme to take out the Val King. He's now working with Maeve, and Selena like turns them against each other, which is really cool, with Irene and Dorian, and like the word mark on the floor, and the Val King steps on it, and then they all jump on him and try and drain him of the Val inside him. Well, Irene does that. Then Dorian is kind of like Chris Pratt, Star-Lord in Infinity War. He's like, what was my dad's name? Because he's obsessed with trying to find out his dad's name, which was erased from history when the Val King took over his dad. And we learned that his dad was called Dorian, and the only moment he remembered his own name was naming Dorian. That's cute, but like, was it really important? Like, I never cared about the king not having a name. It never really felt that important. But Dorian was like Chris Pratt, and I was really scared that he was going to mess it up for everyone. But luckily he didn't. Irene managed to kill the king, the Val King, and it was all good. I'm so happy that Irene got to do it because she's my favourite character and she didn't die. Lysandra didn't die. My favourite characters survived the final book. My last two favourite characters. So that was good. My favourite characters didn't die. I was on a bad streak, but it fixed itself. But Irene got the final kill. That was really good. And yeah, that was kind of it. They defeated the Val King. all the Val demons kind of like drop down, like the cop out kind of mechanic that is done in many films like this, where it's like, we've killed the main bad guy, how do we explain the rest of the army being defeated? Oh, let's just say they all die when the master dies. Which it wasn't just purely this book's idea, like that's done in many films, and I never really like it. Like, I understand why it has to be done to get rid of that army, but like I never really like that kind of trope. And one extra thing that I want to talk about is Elide and Lorcan. Obviously Elide doesn't end up with Manon, which is a bit sad. Manon and Dorian have their thing going on. But Elide is now with Lorcan, and I really like the scene where Lorcan is in this battle and he gets really injured and we think he died, but Elide is so like confident and so stubborn. She's like, no, I'm not gonna let you just tell me he's dead, and she rushes out back onto this battlefield as this big dam that they have there for some reason, and it's about to break, and Elide's like, I don't care, you can wash me away, I'm gonna go find Lorcan. And that was really cute, and that kind of sold me on their relationship, and she goes out, she rescues him, and it was so cute. Yeah, that sold me on Elide and Lorcan, but I still kind of wish Elide was with Manon because they had that instant spark in the Queen of Shadows. So yeah, they're all my thoughts. I'm trying to keep this short, but they're my main thoughts. I like this book. I think I gave it a 3 stars initially, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll change it to a 4 stars. Maybe. We'll say 3.5 for now, but I'll probably change it to 4 stars at some point in the future as it kind of settles with me. But overall, I really enjoyed this series. It was a really good series. I definitely recommend it. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, and I definitely heard polarizing ideas about this, whether it's good or bad, and I think I'm landing on the side that it was a good series. I enjoyed it. It definitely had its typical YA moments, it definitely had predictable and unlikable parts, but the general gist of it I really enjoyed. It was definitely worthwhile to read, and I think if you like Sarah J Maas, you would definitely like this book. I think if you like giant fantasy series, you would like this series. I think if you want to get into fantasy, this is a good one to go with. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good book, and it's made me definitely want to continue with Sarah J Maas after I hated Crescent City, and that kind of put me off Maas's writing, but after this series I kind of have faith in her again, so I'm definitely going to try A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I think I'll do a video on it. So yeah, to end this video I'm going to rank the books to let you know my favourite to my least favourite, or should we start from my least favourite to my favourite? Let's go least favourite to my favourite. So from my least favourite to my most favourite, we start with Tower of Dawn, Throne of Glass, Empire of Storm, Kingdom of Ash, Heir of Fire, The Assassin's Blade, Crown of Midnight, and Queen of Shadows. This one was definitely my favourite. I really enjoyed the overall arc in this one. I liked seeing Arabin. I liked meeting Lysandra, who didn't die in the final book. I think I mentioned that, but she didn't die in the final book. I'm so happy. Yeah, I really like this one a lot. And I also really like Crown of Midnight. And I felt like these 2 books were kind of like where the series really popped off and really had its highs. And then the lows were definitely Tower of Dawn. Like, this book did not need to be a book. This could have been a short story. But anyways, that was my Throne of Glass reading vlog series review thing. I really hope you enjoyed. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. These videos have definitely been really fun to film, and I'm definitely going to do this kind of like series in a video idea more. I really enjoyed it. But thank you for watching. If you've watched this far, leave a nice comment. I was going to think of an emoji, but none are in my head. Leave a castle emoji if you've watched this far, if anyone does. And I really hope you enjoyed these videos. Subscribe and put the bell thing on if you want to see more from me. I'd be happy to have you. Leave a like on this video if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which will either be a tag or a New York vlog. See ya. Thanks for watching. Bye.